All right, guys, this is how you print to the Powerspec Pro. This is the one printer we have that you actually have to be sitting at the desktop machine in the back of the room. You have to be connected to that machine. You can't print from your laptop. So this means that you need to have your STL file uploaded to your Google Drive, which is true for no matter which one you're printing to. But then when you sit down at that computer, you need to log into your Google account and then download the file to the printer and go from there. If you go to sit down at that computer and you need to sign into the computer, you need to have me come over and sign in because you won't see what you need to see if you're signed into the computer under your own account. So you'll be signed into the computer under my account, but then you'll be going to your own Google Drive to download that stuff. Okay? So the icon is on the desktop. It's a square yellow icon with like a black triangle. It's called Replicator G. When you open it up, there's a chance it will have opened the previous file that was used on the machine. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to File New, and then File Open, and open up your uh, file, okay, wherever it might be. All right, the next thing is I have found on this particular printer that things print better if they're kind of to the left and towards the front of the build plate. So the way to do that is there are these buttons over on the left here, view, move, rotate, etc. The two main you'll use will probably be move and scale. So if I click on move, I can actually grab this and move it, but this software is not quite as nice to play with as the others. So you'll start moving it off the work plane and stuff. So I would just use these buttons here to move things. So if you do the X and the Y buttons, it'll move 10, I believe, millimeters at a time and kind of put it towards the left. Don't have it right up against the edge, but upper left or front left has been pretty successful. If you need to scale it, this one scales a little differently than the others. So right now, the object is at a scale of 1, meaning basically 100%. If I wanted it to be, say, twice as big, I would just change that to a 2, because 2 is twice as big as 1, and click Scale. If I wanted it to shrink, again, even though it says 2 right there now, it's actually back to, this is now a 1 scale for this. If I want it to be half as big, I would do 0.5 or whatever fraction and do scale from there. Okay, so once you have it scaled the size that you want, you will go ahead then and generate the G code for this. Oh, before we do that, one other thing. This big orange bar that you see up here, I can't get it to turn green because I'm not doing this on the computer in the back of the room, but when you are physically hooked and talking to the printer, there should be a green bar that says ready. If you sit down and it's like this, in the back of the printer, there's a little toggle switch on off. Turn the printer off, and then wait a second, and then turn it back on and wait for it to do its little beep when it starts. Then this might just automatically turn green, but if not, hit this connect button right here to connect to it. All right, so now you're ready to print. You're going to hit generate G code. This is just asking if you want to save it. You're going to say yes. So this little dialog box is going to come up here. You only need to pay attention to several of these things. The first one is which extruder are you using, right or left? And again, that's going to depend on the color that you want with it. So whichever one has the color that you want, pick that. Use raft or support. You're going to always have that checked so you get a raft. For support, exterior and full support would mean, exterior means it's only going to do it on the outer edges of the object. Full support would mean it'll actually do it internally as well. You would never use full support. You would always use exterior if indeed you are doing support. But for your cookie cutters, you're not going to use support. These two buttons you never need to do anything with. And then when you come down here, there are these buttons here. The only one you really need to worry about is settings. So infill is one that you're going to change anywhere between 5 and 20. The number of shells, that should be set to 2 actually. And it probably will be actually by default. And then print temperature here, 215 or 220 is what I like to print at. Give it a shot and see what happens. Then you're going to click the Generate G-code button. It's going to give you a warning about speeds and stuff. You can totally ignore that. And then this is going to happen and take anywhere up to 5 minutes for this to happen. So I'm going to pause until it's done and then come back. It's still going. Okay, it's finished. Notice that dialog box, is gone now. You need to do one thing before you print, and this is what's weird about this software. There are these two little tabs above your model. You're going to click on the one that says G code, and you're going to get this big long page of what looks like, HTML or a web page code. You don't need to scroll down, it should be right on the screen, but you need to look for this line right here, M109 S110 T1, and then in parentheses it says set HBP temperature. This line is where the software tells the printer how hot to make the print bed. So right now it's set to 110 degrees Celsius. That is too hot for the material that we print with. So you're going to delete the 110 and make it 50. You can't change anything else on that line. So it said S110. Don't erase anything else. Just make sure you click in here and change that to 50, and then save this. And then at this point, if you're connected and this is a big green bar, you're going to hit this button right here, which is we'll send it to the machine, and you'll hear the machine start up and start printing your object. So give it a shot.